on time. So, all right. It's not a new setup. This is actually a rewind to the old setup, all right? I'm a little bit concerned about how this stream's going to go. Where am I right now? Where am I right now? I am not at home. I am back. Homeless Morj LMAO. Yeah, this is closer to homeless Morj days. Look, I am back at I'm in my parents' house right now. I'm in my parents' house right now. I've been visiting my hometown for the last 2 weeks. That's why we didn't have a stream last week, because I was like, I'm not going to be able to pull it off with this setup. But you know what? I'm not going to skip 2 weeks of streams, so we're back. In a bunker, in the office, no, it's what I said, not your guys' guesses. Crypto Chris says he's in a dirty motel. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a throwback in some ways. We got the potato camera, potato audio, potato internet connection, potato background. We got the 4 emperors of potatoes. All right, so this is basically streaming on a Game Boy camera. Yeah, let's give it a bit. We'll get the toaster camera comments out of the way. Let's all get that shit out of the way. Uninspired says, who makes your favorite rotisserie chicken? I don't like rotisserie chicken, but I see why you might be asking that right now. Yeah, this is an old school Morj stream. Starting next Thursday, because I'm probably going to do a review right after the chapter. Starting next Thursday, we'll be back to normal Morj streams. Daniel Dorner says, oh my god, I thought he died. You think I died and went to here? And this is just generally what heaven looks like? Or hell, if that's where you guys think that I belong. But yeah. Oh, Ego asked, what do you think of SmashCon? I was so happy to see Mango get that win. It's such a classic Mango storyline. He slumps for a long time, gets angry, everybody kind of makes fun of him and like gets on his case for his personality and shit, and then he just comes out and wins. Am I kidnapped? No, I actually chose to be here. I actually paid for plane tickets to travel to this place. Caleb Brown says, are we talking spoilers on the stream? No, I have not looked at the spoilers. I don't want anybody to tell me about spoilers. Why is that? Because I don't want to find out whether or not Yamato is joining, alright? So not only no spoilers, but no hints as to whether or not I'll like next chapter, dislike next chapter. No hints about any of that shit, all right? Because I prefer... Right now, we're in a Schrodinger's cat situation, right? Where it's like, we don't know what's inside the box. Is the cat dead? Is it alive? We don't know. Has Yamato joined? Not joined? Right now, she's in a 50-50 state. Let's keep it that way. I want to keep it that way for as long as possible. I don't need to know if Yamato is joining the crew. Not yet. Let me wait for it. We'll find out in due time. I'll talk about it Thursday after the chapter comes out. Don't tell me. Nothing. I don't want to hear any of that shit. Aliato5 says, Mr. Mank, I see you're homeless in the office again. No, apparently Oda told Film Red's director the rest of One Piece story plus deets about Shanks. I did see that, and the director has been wanting to spoil everybody for the longest time or something like that. I wonder what it means when Oda tells somebody the rest of the story. Like, how in-depth does he go in detail, you know? Nanobot says, my theory that mythical Zoan-type fruits have to be awakened into their mythical... Mythical Zoan fruits have to be awakened into their mythical ability. All mythical Zoans start off as regular fruits. That'd be interesting. It's true that we have yet to see a confirmed awakened form. So we have yet to see a confirmed awakened Marco, a confirmed awakened Sengoku, stuff like that. That's interesting. Flip side, I would say, is that Marco, we did see at a very young age, like even when he was on Whitebeard's crew, right? Even in Odin's flashback, we saw Marco could already use the Phoenix Fruit abilities. So maybe he was awakened even from a young age. But Marco also seemed kind of like a noob at that point in time, so I don't know if he was already awakened right then. Kakashi Snitch 9, well, if it isn't my arch nemesis, Morgenberg, the one who raids this. Is that what I am? You gave me flashbacks to Breaking Bad. I kind of want... Who's been watching Better Call Saul? Who's been watching Better Call Saul? Because I have not been watching Better Call Saul. I just need confirmation that the ending is good, and then I'll binge the shit out of that whole thing. I'm brave to risk a stream with the risk of spoilers. There's a lot of stuff that's very dicey with this stream right now. One, who remembers the olden days when Morj's internet connection was basically a coin toss? Who remembers that? Who was around during that period of time? Who remembers when it was a 50-50 shot as to whether or not the stream would need to restart partway through, maybe one time, maybe two times, maybe 4, 5, 6 times? Who remembers that shit? That was the OG Morj stream setup, right? That was, while frustrating, it was an exciting way to stream because you were living on a razor's edge, You got a sort of thrill out of just not knowing what's going to happen next. Am I going to stream cleanly for another 5 minutes? Is the computer going to freeze? Is chat going to spam Morj for 15 minutes? Who knows? Do we have to start all over again? It's exciting. It's like being it's probably what mountain climbers feel like when they're, climbing mountains and shit. They're like, oh boy, what happens next? You never know. Actually, I wonder if mountain climbers think to themselves as they're climbing mountains that this must be like streaming with bad internet connection. And like maybe they think that that's like a really exciting thing. Oh fuck, right on cue. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. It seems fine to me. Fortnite Pro 123 says, do you know why so many people think Kaido is much stronger than Big Mom? Just because Big Mom sucked ass for the most part. Okay, so Big Mom kind of we know Big Mom is strong, right? How do we know Big Mom is strong? We know that the most impressive thing Big Mom did, right, that we saw that confirmed she's really strong, is fight evenly with Kaido, right? So Big Mom, the thing that established that she's really, really strong, and Yonko, etc., is fight evenly with Kaido. That was the thing that she did that was probably the most impressive, right? Because besides that, she didn't really do that much to that many people, I think she was used quite frequently more so to kind of hype up other characters, have other Straw Hats, sure, she was starving when that shit happened back in Whole Cake Island, but then, Onigashima battle starts, and the first thing that happens, think of it this way, the Onigashima battle starts, the first thing that Kaido does is solo the 9 Scabbards. That's the first thing Kaido does when the Onigashima battle starts. He solos the entire 9 Scabbards. I make fun of the 9 Scabbards or whatever, it's not a big deal than the 9 Scabbards, but it's still we know that they're strong, right? We know that several of them are commander level. Inuarashi, Nekamamushi, they were in Sulong form, which is, even stronger than, I guess you would say, typical third command, whatever, however you want to scale it, right? Kaido solos the 9 Scabbards, right? In the meantime, Big Mom is downstairs, and what's happening, she's getting essentially humiliated, being passed around by, the lower level Straw Hat characters. So we're not talking about Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. They've got better shit to do. We're talking Brooks coming through, Frankie's coming through on a motorcycle, Robin is literally rolling her away. Shit like that is kind of happening to her. And that's not to say that that's her, full strength. Obviously, we know that. I'm just saying that, there's not that many moments throughout the story where it's holy shit, Big Mom just did this insane thing and fucked up all these characters or something like that, I think there was one pretty cool moment on the roof where everyone was getting their hits in on Kaido and everything like that, and then Big Mom comes through, and she's just flexing Zeus and throwing lightning around everywhere, and she kind of, she gets a good hit in against, I think, taking out Zoro, Kid, maybe Law, I forget. She takes out a lot of the supernovas simultaneously. Not takes out, but it's a cool panel and a cool moment for her. I think that's kind of the peak moment of impressiveness. It was kind of a don't forget about me sort of a moment. But she kind of peaked right there. I would have loved to have seen her flex her. It's crazy. I would have loved to have seen her flex her abilities more over the course of the battle because she's got such a versatile, maybe the most versatile moveset in the entire series. The lightning was really effective. Use the lightning more. Use it again. It seemed like it worked really well. Just keep doing that. I don't know why she stopped, There's just certain things. Anyway, where are we at? Fortnite Pro 123 says, no, that's what we were just answering for the last 45 minutes. Daniel Dorner says, hey, George, thanks. The ending of Better Call Saul so far is perfect. I'm excited. Has the last episode aired? I feel like there's, as far as I know, there's like one episode left. I'm pretty excited. If I know that there's another series out there that just closed that's as good as Breaking Bad, I'm going to binge that in a heartbeat. Rojandro XX says, Morj, do you get to peep SmashCon? We got Mango versus Hungrybox Grand Finals for Melee. It was dope. Yes, I would have loved to have seen Mango Zane. I don't like seeing Zane lose. Like, Mango's my favorite player, but I would have liked to have seen Zane do well as well, just because he's been in a bit of a slump that's not being talked about much. But I'm just happy Mango won at the end of the day. It was the ultimate fuck you. It was literally the ultimate fuck you. If you know anything about Melee and you know the discourse that was going on around Mango, it's just like, I criticize Mango for like a lot of things and sometimes the way he acts and stuff, but like, he's literally carried I don't think people recognize or appreciate how much Mango carries the excitement or hype for Melee for a lot of viewers, and he's done it for so many years. Viewers owe Mango way more than Mango owes anybody else, so he has 100% a right to just be like, fuck you all. Like, he probably just doesn't feel like he gets the respect he deserves, because he actually doesn't at the end of the day, as crazy as it sounds, for everything that he's done for the game and continues to bring to the game. Where we at? Caleb Brown says, if I can't be a mod, at least give me channel members. You can be a mod, Caleb Brown. No, you can't. You say all that weird shit. I forgot. It's like, Caleb Brown, yeah, he comes through the stream all the time. It is like, you super chat pretty frequently. But then I caught myself. I was like, wait, I remember why I don't mod you. You're a dirty kid. Jason Petit Frere says, hey, Morj, big fan. Thanks, man. Thanks for all the amazing content you consistently put out. Do you think Kaido beats Shanks in a 1v1? At this point, I'll put my money on Shanks. For a long time, I was like, I gave it to Kaido by default as the world's strongest character. But at this point, we're getting more, like, as the story, here's what happens in One Piece, right? Whoever is the villain or the antagonist of the moment, that character is always getting the most hype and the most build-up, and that's generally going to push them in readers' rankings. So if you remember if you go a few arcs back, right? During Dressrosa, a lot of people believed that Doflamingo was stronger than First Mates, or a lot of people believed that Doflamingo might be just below Admiral level or something like that, because Oda was giving Doflamingo a lot of hype, right? Because that's the villain at that moment in time. Doflamingo's doing a lot of crazy stuff, the birdcage, the way characters are talking about him. Like, Oda's got to build up the threat in the moment. And then once Dressrosa closed and now more time has passed and everything like that, we get more context. We kind of realize, okay, Doflamingo's probably not fucking with the admirals or anything like that. And soon after, we got to see, Cracker and Katakuri and things like that. And we're like, okay, Doflamingo's probably not stronger than, like, a Katakuri or a Marco or a Ben Beckman and things like that, right? So, but at that moment in time, Doflamingo was the shit. Same thing with Whole Cake Island. Like, Katakuri was so high in a lot of people's rankings for a long time. A lot of people were like, I wonder how Katakuri would do against, like, Kizaru or something like that, right? Even Big Mom, if you guys remember, during Whole Cake Island, especially when Big Mom initially started her rampage on Whole Cake Island, and she was launching Elbaf cannons, and like Luffy, Jinbei, everyone would, like, Luffy was shitting his pants at Elbaf cannons. They were all trying to get out of there. It was clear, like, it seemed like nothing could stop Big Mom for a bit. Then she started starving, and Oda kind of smacked her around a little bit. But, like, there was a period of time during Whole Cake Island, some people believe that Big Mom might be, like, second or third strongest in the world. Especially after the Giants flashback. And a lot of people had Katakuri. People were like, yeah, Katakuri might be almost Admiral level. And then you get some time pass, and now most people don't put Katakuri as high. Most people don't have Big Mom in their top 5 or anything like that. Like, so for a long time, Kaido was the shit, right? Like, so a lot of people had Kaido at number 1, and Kaido is the one who's getting all the feats and the hype, and now Kaido's lost, so a lot of that's kind of gone away, and now we're in the Shanks phase. You know what I mean? What I'm saying? Like, it's kind of just... It's always good, like, the later you go, and I think the simplest thing we can bet on is that the later characters that feature further along in the story are ultimately just going to turn out to be stronger than who we initially believed to be stronger before. That's just kind of the way shit goes, that's not going to be the rule for everyone, but, there's a reason Shanks, Blackbeard, etc. are being saved for last versus Kaido and Big Mom, who were the shiny objects at first, but they existed to be dethroned, essentially, so that we can get to the real shit, which is... these last remaining emperors. In my opinion. Might be wrong on that, but that's kind of just how it's felt like it's gone in One Piece for a while. Ippo Takamura says, Pell survived a bomb at point blank range, but Big Mom didn't. Pell Yonko level confirmed. Pell's at least stronger than Ashura Doji. that's a confirmed fact, right? Pell is 100% stronger than Ashura Doji. Because Ashura Doji, like, the stuff, like, he died to some firecrackers or shit. It was not a big deal. Talha Jahan says, Queen doesn't get enough credit for knocking out Big Mom / cracking her bones. Everyone in Whole Cake Island treated her as impenetrable. She had amnesia, I know, but she didn't seem much weaker since she still said Luffy flying. Yeah, that's true. That's like a fact that's glossed over. People shit on Queen for being like, oh, Big Mom didn't even have hockey and shit. And it's like, yeah, but she didn't have hockey and whatever, but she still sent Luffy fucking flying. Like, give Queen some credit there. I agree. Everybody liked the stream. I forgot about that shit. All right. And I think we're far enough along that it's time to talk about the best moments of Wano, right? I forgot. That's a big part of it. We're supposed to be talking about the best moments. Wait, let me catch up on these supers real quick. We're supposed to be talking about the best moments in Wano. That's what we're here to do. You know why we're talking about the best moments in Wano? Because Wano is about to close. The videos on Wano are incoming. My videos and everything like that. Before we get to those videos, I want to take some time to spread some positivity about Wano and at least appreciate some of the good parts that, you know, we all could have, I mean, not all of us, but many of us enjoyed about the arc. Before we get into things that maybe I didn't enjoy as much, you know? J.K. Kane says, Yo, Morj, who's your favorite Hunter x Hunter side character? I love Hunter x Hunter questions because I've been on a Hunter x Hunter kick lately. Do we count Leorio as a side character at this point? I guess he's a main character. Pure side character, it's hard to say. Pure side character, I don't, like, who counts as a side character? Like, is Bisky a side character? What's a side character in Hunter x Hunter? You know? Like, is Zeno a side character? Like, is Silva a side character? It's hard to say. Like, are the Phantom Troop... Because, like, Hunter x Hunter, so many of the characters feel like side characters for a bit, but then they're recurring so frequently throughout the series, it doesn't... I don't know if they're count as side characters. It's hard to say. Nanerbot says, hate Yamato feels like a fan character like Uta. Oh, we'll be getting Yamato videos soon. Depending on what happens in chapter 1057, there'll be some Yamato videos. I'm not going on any more Yamato tangents, that's for sure, though. I spent like 15 minutes last stream or like 2 streams ago ranting about that shit. Felix C says, this chickenery, he's done worse. That billboard, are you telling me that a man just happens to fall like that? No, he Wait, this is some... You're fucking spoiling Better Call Saul for me. Don't spoil Better Call Saul. Flame Emperor says, blink 3 times if Brago has kidnapped you and Oof will come and save you. You know, I'm back in Maryland where Brago also is. I should have connected with him, but it was just a very packed trip for me. Probably next time I'm back here. If Film Red was out, I think we could have done some content surrounding Film Red, but it's not out in the US just yet. Appelina Top Hat says, hey Morj, there's a rumor going around that you're a huge Uta stan and supporter, and that you really want her to join the crew. Is this true? These rumors are in fact correct. I love Uta. I think that the fact that we're all being told to just accept that she exists and was around when Luffy met Shanks, I love that that's happening. I think that there's nothing better than being told that the past that you once believed in and had nostalgia for was a lie, and that there's a completely different version of history that you're now supposed to buy into so that a company can make profit off of a movie that they made that's pure fan fiction. I will say this, as much as, I'm talking shit or whatever, I haven't seen Film Red. I am actually interested in Film Red now because, look, I'm only human, right? 1 week or 2 weeks ago, I was making fun of Film Red and stuff. Now, like, little clips and stuff are coming out from Film Red. There's, like, little shit that, like, there's certain little fights and interactions that happen in those clips that, you know, even me, who calls all the One Piece movies fan fiction, I'm like, shit, that'd look cool to see in theaters. And, you know, in general, like, I was really negative about the One Piece movies a while back. Then I watched Film Z. I liked Film Z. I'm sure Film Red could pleasantly surprise me. So I'm not going to say anything about Uta at this point. What if I watch Film Red and I really like Uta? What if, like, Uta's, like, got a backstory like Robin or some shit? What if I come out of Film Red being like, fuck, what if Uta's my favorite character now? Huh? Then I'll look back at my past self and be like, man, you didn't know what you're talking about. You know what's hilarious? So, one of my really, 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 like, one of my best friends, right? He did not watch Hunter x Hunter. I was trying to get him to watch Hunter x Hunter for a long time. He was one of my roommates last year, okay? He watched anime, and I would actually, like, get him to watch anime before me so that he could kind of vet it and then tell me if it's good or not. So he did that for, like, Steins Gate and, like, JoJo's and stuff like that. But anyway, that aside, I was trying to get him to watch Hunter x Hunter. I'd read Hunter x Hunter at this point. I was like, watch the anime, tell me if it's good. He refused to watch Hunter x Hunter for the longest time. You want to know why? Because he complained about, he was like, I don't know, man, this main character, he fights with a fishing rod. That seems really lame. I'm not interested in watching a series of a main character fighting bad guys with a fishing rod. This is the dumbest shit ever. I'm like, dude, how do I explain to you how little that fucking fishing rod matters over the course of Hunter x Hunter? I promise you, the fishing rod has next to zero importance for the story of Hunter. He doesn't even fucking use it past a certain point. And he was like, no, dude, I've seen multiple fight scenes where he uses this fishing rod. Like, this is just stupid. It actually aggravated the fuck out of me. I'm like, that's like if you were trying to convince someone to watch One Piece and they saw like a clip of, I don't know, a clip of what? Like a clip of like Sanji versus Wanze or something like that. And they're like, I don't know, man. I feel like I don't really want to watch a series that's like, you know, all about cooking showdowns and shit. It's like, dude, that's not relevant to the rest of the story. That's not even a good example. What's a better example? I don't know. Like, there's no comparable example, I guess, from One Piece. But it was just really frustrating. He did eventually watch Hunter x Hunter and realize that he was completely wrong. But, you know, point being, sometimes you can have a certain view of something, judging a book by its cover, etc., right? So from my perspective, I'm like, fuck Uta, this is the dumbest shit. What if I walk into Film Red, come out of it with tears in my eyes? I'm just like, Uta's the greatest written character I've ever had the privilege of witnessing on screen. I don't know. Daniel Dorner says, Breaking Bad is Alabasta, but Better Call Saul is any slobby. You're getting me so excited over Better Call Saul, man. So many people, like, it's exciting for me to hear so many people say it's better than Breaking Bad, because that's just not something I would have expected. If people were even out here saying, like, oh, it's, like, almost as good as Breaking Bad, I would still be really excited. But people are out here, lots of people are saying it's better than Breaking Bad. I'm like, damn, that is a high bar to overcome. Especially, you know what, though? Breaking Bad wasn't that good for... What's happening? What is this? What is this? Is it unfrozen? All right. All right, we back? We back? All right. Caleb Brown says, my favorite Wano moment was when Uta showed up to fight Kaido with Luffy after promising that she would be there for him when they were kids. Yeah, that was pretty great. It's legitimately not that far off from essentially what happened with Yamato. Random character shows up who made a promise with Ace off screen that she would one day help free Wano or some shit like that. Edwin Rodriguez says, hey Morj, just stop by to say I hate Yamato, enjoy your trip. Thanks, Edwin. I needed to hear that. William Marshall says, thoughts on the Monster Trio fighting Cross Guild. Okay, we will get to actually ranking the best moments of Wano in a second. Thoughts on the Monster Trio fighting Cross Guild. Luffy versus Buggy, Sanji versus Crocodile, Zoro versus Mihawk. I don't think Luffy's fighting Buggy ever again. Maybe Cross Guild fights the Straw Hats and Shanks and Davy backfight. Would that be taking the gag too far? No, I would love to see the Cross Guild fighting. I think that'd be some really, really cool matchups if you got the Cross Guild to fight the Straw Hats in some sort of Davy backfight matchup. But like Buggy just would be a non-factor, right? Sheriff Lafitte says, Mr. Morj, what is your theory on what SSG is? So I'm pretty sure Oda revealed that it's a special science squad or something, or special science group or something like that. So I don't have a theory on what it is. Blade Bladdock says, did you punch him? No, he just eventually watched Hunter x Hunter. Alright, I think we're caught up. Alright, you know what? It's time to actually do the stream that we promised we would do. Alright, hold on. We're going to rank the best moments in Wano. Not even rank. Let's just pay tribute to some of the good moments in Wano. So let me make sure that this works well. Alright, so this is what I'm looking at right now. This is good. This is good. This is good. Forget how I do this. Yeah. Alright. I'm gonna do this, do a little bit of this, Sneaky Mongoose says, "Hey George, Awakening Ideas teaches Yami Awakening, makes it so that he can nullify Luffy's Gomu abilities without touching him. That's a great idea. That's actually very, very likely what it could be. And Buggy's Awakening, despite not being strong, will allow him to split the sky." That is hilarious. That would be hilarious. I love those ideas. Sneaky Mongoose, I think the Buggy idea is inspired. I think the Buggy idea is inspired. Like, Buggy splitting the sky, that is a great idea. That is a great, 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 great idea. The Blackbeard idea is a good idea too, but I think the Buggy idea is amazing. Bobby Soul, thank you. Alright, let's take a look. We need visuals. If we're going to be ranking stuff in Wano, we need the visuals. Hold on. Gotta make this small too. Sorry, we're not ranking. Ranking can turn toxic. We're just discussing. Pure, clean, harmless discussion. Bobby Soul says, review Saul episodes. Is your name Bobby Soul because you like Better Call Saul? I don't know. Maybe I'll review some Better Call Saul episodes. That'd be fun. Too bad that none of my audience is, like, interested in that. JKK sends, Drunk Kaido flirting with Luffy's a top 5 moment. That was funny. Drunk Kaido I definitely enjoyed. Definitely enjoyed Drunk Kaido. The one thing is, I thought that Kaido going through his transformations, it's like a funny quirk that he had for a period of time. I thought that it was just Oda trying to delay having to have Kaido use his awakening. You know what I mean? He was like, okay, it's too early for Kaido to use his awakening, so let me do the next best thing to kind of like have him go through some transformations, which is just some like funny gag transformations that did make it harder for Luffy to fight, because it's like he's having to cycle through so many different fighting styles against Kaido, or Kaido's cycling through so many different fighting styles against him. So it did actually make it more difficult for Luffy in combat, but I thought it was just Oda holding off on awakening. Turns out, Kaido didn't have an awakening, or he was already awakened. So those drunk forms were essentially the best that it gets. I could put it on film analysis. True. If only I still fucking did that channel. I'll figure that out soon. Because at this point, I've made certain decisions about how to allocate my time, and the film channel is definitely looking enticing. But I'll say this. It'll be, okay, the things that I'm torn between at the moment, returning to film channel versus other manga content, including things like Chainsaw Man, because I really want to do some Chainsaw Man content. So it's like, you can't have everything, at the end of the day. I'm talking to you guys, but I'm also talking to myself. You can't have everything, you have to make certain decisions. So it's like, sure, I would love to talk about Better Call Saul, but I would also really love to talk about Chainsaw Man. And these two things don't mix that well. So you kind of got to pick and choose. So I'm taking my time trying to figure out what's right for me, what's right for my channel, what's right for me time-wise, right? What's the smartest thing to invest my time into that I also really, really want to do. Appleina Top Hat says, you seen the theory that Uta is 10th captain in the Blackbeard Pirates? I fucking hope Uta does not make a canon appearance in the story. That's all I'll say. Movie Morj is the redheaded stepchild, says Felix C. Yeah, he kind of got shunned, forced into the attic, told to never return. He's kind of like, when Harry Potter lived in the cupboard under the stairs. That's kind of like what I did to Movie Morj. I'm like, you exist, but you just stay over there for now. And like, I don't really know. Like, we know Harry Potter has a happy ending at the end of the day. Eventually he's let loose from the cupboard in the attic or under the stairs or whatever. He's let loose from that cupboard and free to, go be a wizard and shit. So, maybe Movie Morj will get to shine as well. Or maybe this is a story about the Dursleys, so we don't talk about Harry Potter. Bobby D. Blizzard says, do you think we could get a buggy arc like Long Ring, Long Land with Zoro versus Mihawk as his circus's main attraction? Also, Better Call Saul is great. I've long said that I think that some sort of a Davy Bax fight setup, so a lot of the... I thought that Mihawk way back when would be on Shanks' side at some point down the line, because the Shichibukai would dissolve, Mihawk would have to find a Yonko crew to join up with. I assumed it'd be Shanks, because Mihawk and Shanks are buddy-buddy, right? They're buddy-buddy. But turns out he went to Buggy's crew, which is a fun twist. So I had assumed that come some point where Luffy and Shanks are having a Davy Back fight, at that point it would be a good time to introduce the idea of, like, Zoro and Mihawk having their own fight at the same time, right? Like, they go off and do their own duel. Now, that can still happen if there's, like, a 3-way Davy Back fight or something along those lines. So we'll have to wait to see. Brandon King says, Luffy taking mommy virus to encourage prisoners. That was a good moment. That was a great moment. You know what? Let's start with that. I actually really like that moment. I love that moment. That was probably my favorite, besides Gear 5th shit, I think that was my favorite Luffy moment easily. Like, it's hard to say. So Gear 5th is cool for what it is, but it wasn't so much about Luffy's, like, it obviously, it's a representation of what Luffy's character is all about, obviously. But it's more like, at the end of the day, it's a transformation that Luffy kind of just wakes up and has. You know what I mean? It's not really something that, like the prisoner moment, the Udon prisoner moment, that was a really cool character moment for Luffy, right? Like, I don't consider Gear 5th a character moment for Luffy, right? It's a really cool embodiment of everything that, like, Luffy represents. So, conceptually, you know, that's the most fantastic version of Luffy we get. So Gear 5th is cool for a different reason. As a character moment, I really, really liked, I think it was chapter 949. I'm so good at this shit. It's definitely chapter 949. Look at this. 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 It's this chapter. It is this chapter. I love that. This panel is great. We came here to fight Kaido and win. I mean, it's a cool panel. It's what he's saying here is generic, but I think what I really, really love is this scene, right? This scene. This was sick. This was. I actually haven't reread this in a minute. This was just sick. It was. He's already tying up the elephant, saying, "I saw a pretty bad future just now." Already tying up the elephant, and then he says, "You get the rest." Love it. This line, I think, is especially great. Like, the whole sequence of events is really good. It's also, in my opinion, I think all of it's like a solid callback to, like, it's very, very similar to, if you go to chapter 904, right? So the arc begins, right? So before we get to Wano, the storyline begins with the same shit, right? Will you die or will you fight? Choose your own fate. Is being a hero someone else's job? It could be yours, right? So this is the mentality that the storyline of Wano actually is prefaced with, right? Before the, like, you could call this prologue period, whatever. This is what happens before the Wano storyline begins, right? Encouraging everyone to stand up, fight for themselves, rather than just, rely on somebody else to do it. That's the same thing that Luffy echoes in this scene, right? This is the epitome of that sort of sentiment. Love it. This was probably my favorite scene for Luffy, I guess. I put Gear 5th in a different category, you know what I mean? So, how do I want to do this? Do I want to, like... I guess we'll just write it. We'll just write it, right? Luffy, Udon, Prisoner Mine, inspirational scene. And I guess we can do... I'm going to put in red. I guess that adds something. You know what? I should add images. That'll make it better. Let me catch up on these real quick. Rakib Yusuf says, Morj, you should do a ship tier list. We're getting to the bottom of the barrel of tier list ideas to do. I think people are done with tier lists basically at this point. If I did a ship tier list, I feel like I would get maybe 5-6 viewers. I would get you, obviously, since you suggested the idea. Beyond that, I guess I would get some, naval enthusiasts or something like that. I think people would very, very quickly get bored of ranking ships. That's all I'll say. Because it's like, I can tell you what the ship tier list would be like right now, right? It'll be, Thousand Sunny at the top, Going Merry, throw it up there too. Big Mom ship is pretty cool. Beyond that, you got, Moby Dick's kind of a cool ship. Thriller Bark is low-key the most impressive ship in One Piece, but I think it's so big, people don't think of it as a ship. And then after that, you kind of just have ships. Like, nobody else's ships really stand out, you know what I mean? Like, even Blackbeard just had some giant rafts and shit like that, Although he's got the Saber of Zebek now, which I don't think we've seen. Ninerbot says, I like how everyone expected Wano to be Zoro's arc, but Sanji and Robin were the only strides with character arcs. Zoro's storyline in Wano is just bizarre to me, man. It's just bizarre to me. Like, because there's so much stuff that's happening there's a lot of different, angles and stuff that are, kind of written in for him throughout the arc, and then they're all just straight up ignored and never... It's like somebody was writing Like somebody had some stuff in mind for Zoro, like, or a lot of stuff in mind for Zoro, and then the point came for the climax of the arc, and it was just like somebody new came in and basically had to write some shit in for his king fight and then just call it a day, basically. It was very surprising to me the way Zoro's storyline ended. Also, Queen shooting himself top 5. I don't know if that's going to make it to the list. Flame Emperor says Red Rock is definitely a top tier moment. Is this a my favorite Wano moments? My opinion of what the best Wano moments are, or is it the people's opinions of the best Wano moments? Because I didn't like I think the anime elevated the Red Rock moment, but I think people did like it anyway. First of all, I'm coming only from the manga perspective here, so I don't want to hear anything like, "Oh, the anime made this better. The anime made this better." I don't care what the anime did. I don't care what the anime did. All right, we're not mentioning the anime here. All right. So for me, I'm like Red Rock. I thought it was cool. I did think it was cool. I don't know why I did I think part of it is like, I don't know why I didn't really care. Like, it's even like when Luffy did Red Hawk on Doflamingo, that's not like a classic moment to me. I don't know why. It's hard to explain, but I know a lot of people liked it. So, how'd you guys feel? Is Red Rock a great moment? Great. Pretty good. These are the two options. Gear 5th is like, yeah, let's get that out of the way. Let's just write that in. Let me get some images in here. Let me get some images. Let me make this more visually entertaining. All right. That's something a pro streamer would probably do. I guess this panel probably represents it best, even though I think this is the most generic panel of the sequence. It's the most impactful panel, I guess you could say. All right, let's throw some visuals in here. Can I paste it? All right. Yes. Yeah. All right. There we go. Look at that. All right, let's get Gear 5th in there. Pretty good. All right, so 52% says 50-50. All right, the poll is closing in 10 seconds. Everyone get your votes in. 10, 9. This determines if Red Rock makes the cut or not. 8, 7, 6. Let's get some more pretty goods in there. 5. Pretty goods. You still got a chance. 4, 3. Pretty goods. I suggest you all, if you've been holding back, I suggest you stop doing so. 2, 1. Fuck. All right, Red Rock makes the cut. Let's get it in there. All right. I heard you out. All right. Did I miss anything here? I don't think so. Let's see real quick. Lee J Animation says, how about a ship tier list? Robin, Frankie, Zoro, Hiyori, Luffy, Uta, etc. That is actually a great idea. People would tune into that. Guaranteed. I like that. That is a great idea. Hey, for people that are listening to my editors basically for this stream, Morj Unleashed Highlights editors, please listen to this. Please add to the list of ideas a best One Piece romance ships idea. Okay? Added that to the list of stream ideas. It's a great idea. EHB says, Morj will end the stream liking Wano a little bit more, lol. Big fan from Brazil, keep the great work up. That's actually entirely possible. Me just having to read through this, reminded me of a pretty good Wano moment. Rujandro XX says, always thought the Red Rock panel itself was meh. Okay, let's revisit it. Because I did my reread of Wano, pretty much, but and that did change my, there's more that I took away from it, for sure. So there's more that I could do to flesh out, themes, analysis, and stuff, but I also came away with more criticism, so it kind of balances out. But, just going back to the scene in isolation, I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Red Rock, I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it's a cool panel. And it was voted in, so we have to. All right. Red Rock makes the cut, and then we got to add Gear 5th after that, right? Red Rock I might take off later on, depending on how packed this whole thing ends up becoming. Because, we're going to try and run a pretty tight ship around here. All right, we don't need, like, every cool, like, attack moment thrown in. All right? This is about more than that. Red Rock. Wait. Questionable. Gotta make sure my voice is heard too. Goomba Boomba says, rereading Wano, and there's lots of bits that don't come back around. Many small things like King being called a torture-loving freak, Jack being belittled. No, that's the bigger thing. So, like, rereading Wano, there's moments that you remember that were, like, cool moments, for sure. But the bigger thing is, like I don't feel this when I'm rereading Dressrosa or Whole Cake or anything like that. Well, Whole Cake, the ending I do, but, and there's certain small things like handcuffs and stuff like that. But definitely not Dressrosa, which is like, with Wano, when you reread it, like, that's one of the things I thought was strange when people were saying, like, Wano, anybody who doesn't like Wano, it's because it's the weekly experience. If you binge it, you like it better. I think Wano is the arc that's the opposite, where week to week, there's hype stuff that, like, can carry people's excitement for a long period of time. Again, like Gear 5th, or Luffy and Kaido splitting the sky, like the Conqueror's Haki shit. Even this chapter, Red Rock, right? I personally felt that was the case. Like, we would go through many weeks of people being like, oh, nothing's happening, but remember this crazy thing that happened, or like, Wano has these crazy highs and stuff like that, right? I think week to week, Wano actually benefited a lot, because when you read the whole thing in one go, that's when I think a lot more of the, in my opinion, suddenly becomes apparent how many things didn't really go anywhere, and how many things, like, seem unnecessary, superfluous, forgotten, setups that aren't actually setups, or basically, like, just character storylines or character threads that are basically pointless or unnecessary, or don't really add anything to the story, essentially. So I think that on reread, it actually, like, when you get it all in one go, it feels a lot maybe less coherent or messier, at least for me, when I was rereading it. And I'll obviously be explaining more in depth with actual examples when I put out my videos on the story. On reread, I think this is an arc that comes away worse when it's all put together versus weekly. Because weekly, you get the weekly hype, versus all together, when you're evaluating it as, like, okay, one continuous story, I think it's a story with a lot of cracks in it, like, filled with cracks, in my opinion. Zealot says, who you got in this fight? Dawn Creek versus Hold'em. Hold'em. Easy. Hawkeye Dragon says, have you seen the map Oda made that shows us the islands the Supernovas are going to next? Kid to Elbaf, Law to Beehive, and Luffy to Sphinx Island. I didn't know that Oda made a map of that. That's crazy. Is that actually true? Where's that? Is that confirmed somewhere? Let me get Gear 5th in here. 1043... I mean, yeah, like, there's stuff, like, Hiyori is trash, right? Like, so that's something someone's saying. Like, when you're reading the full arc, there's certain things that stick out like a sword. Like, we're getting all this random focus on Hiyori, and then Hiyori's gone for a long time, and then she comes back, like, and then you kind of feel the irrelevance and, like, the pointlessness of the character more when it's all shoved together, versus when it's reread, or versus when it's weekly, it's kind of like, oh, Hiyori's back or something. Like, it's kind of like you ignore these small things or whatever, or, like, you don't really fully remember. You kind of just assume that, oh yeah, she's got some storyline that's important or something. But when you're reading it all together, it's kind of like she's just, like, randomly here or there, and, like, kind of seems like something's gonna go, like, even just her relationship with Zoro is just, like, it's just some weird thing that kind of fizzles and kind of seems like it's a thing, but at the same time doesn't really could have easily not existed, Sheriff Lockheed says, the length of Wano has me missing short arcs like Little Garden, Whiskey Peak. Do you think Oda might do 2 to 3 short arcs like that again? I mean, if what this guy just said, of, like, them going to Sphinx Island or something next, then yeah, sure. But I think that I would guess more likely than not that, like, I would hope that Elbaf is a tighter, more compact arc. Wano was always set up to be a really, really heavy, like, bloated arc with a lot of characters, even from well before we actually got to the place, just because we knew kind of, like, so many different figures are heading there. Samurai, plus more Samurai there, plus Minks are coming over, plus they're pulling Mark over, plus, like, probably Supernovas, etc. Elbaf doesn't seem at the moment like it's set up to be like that, but we know the final war is going to be something crazy, and there's not too many arcs left as far as we know, right? Banana says, Gear 5th is the worst thing to come out to Wano, straight up Luffy character assassination. I like Gear 5th as a concept a lot. I really love Gear Fifth as a concept. As a chapter off, I suck. All right, I love Gear Fifth as a concept a lot. What I will say is that, I think there's criticisms of Gear Fifth that people have put out, which is more so, in my opinion, related to how it was built into the story and how, I separate the two. How Gear Fifth was built into the story, how Luffy unlocked it, etc. I put that in a separate category of what the concept of Gear Fifth is and the fun that I had while reading the Gear Fifth chapters, basically. So that's all I'll say for now. I've talked at length about why I like Gear Fifth a lot. I put out full videos basically explaining why I think that, it's amazing for, it's amazing for, I guess, the final step of, what Luffy has to become, in a sense, or, the penultimate step at the very least, because we know he's got a bit more of a ways to go. And it sounds like the last step that Luffy really needs is hockey-related, right? So that's really exciting, that he still has a ways to go, and hockey obviously is more character-based than something like a Devil Fruit ability. So that'll be an exciting step to see. But I love how Gear Fifth represents, I think, in the purest sense, the final type of fighter that Oda wanted Luffy to be, and I think it's really creative, etc. But I think that there's a lot to be said about, one, how the concept of it was built into the story, and two, how Luffy himself unlocked it. So, I don't know, I'll talk about that more later, but I like Gear Fifth, so I'm going to put it in best stuff of Wano. And I think most people would reference Gear Fifth as, maybe the highlight of Wano, the coolest thing to come out of Wano. Am I right on that? Shoot. What did I do here? Fuck. Alright, let's try and get some, not Luffy related. What do we have that's not Luffy related? We gotta get the exclamations and everything like that to show that we're hyped about this. Right? Talha Jahan says, Queen versus Katakuri, your power scaling takes greater than Braga's. I mean, Braga took some power scaling L's based on his Admiral opinions, right? So, not much to, I mean, Braga likes his characters. I think, what's interesting is that, talking with Braga and Dritz about power, I've realized that everyone power scales in different ways. Some people power scale based on, what seems makes sense on paper. Katakuri has this ability set, this move set, therefore it should match up this way. I think that's how Braga discusses things. I try to just roll with what the author, how I think that the author is portraying a certain hierarchy, basically. So in my mind, it's I almost don't care what Katakuri's ability set is, basically, if the author is implying that admirals are greater than first mates overall, then I'm just going to go with admirals. If the author is overall implying that Yonko are greater than admirals, then I'm just going to roll with that, basically. Because it's, I think that's generally, I think to me the portrayal matters more than, what we think should make sense on paper. Sheriff Lockbeat says, Drake, Apu, and Hawkins were sacrificed for pointless Hiyori stuff. There's shit like that, too. It's kind of just Drake and Hawkins were why did we even need a lot of their investigative scenes early on, throughout Act 2 and stuff like that? It was kind of just stuff happening for it to happen. It was just stuff happening, It's just, it's just stuff happening. It's not ultimately important for either of their characters. It's not important for on the flip side, other people's characters and stuff. It's just characters doing things. That's a lot of what's happening throughout Wano, so... At least, especially in Act 2, in my opinion. That's why, to me on reread, there's just heavy sections of Wano where it's all right, this is kind of just nothing, or this is just stuff happening. This is just stuff happening. This isn't really important. These characters' interactions here aren't important. That's a lot of what happens over the course, I think, especially of Act 2. And even large portions of Act 3. Act 3, there's really strange, weird sequences of events of characters being oh, we need to do this, and then they kind of we get a few panels of this happening, but then it's off screen, and then later on it turns out to not be important at all either. Act 3, that actually happens quite frequently. Nanobot says, why was Apu forgiven after the raid? He was free talking to Kid like nothing happened. Did he forget he was an op and betrayed everyone? Hawkins died. Yeah, like things that were really significant at one point, like, the Kid and Apu dynamic, which I thought was really, like, if you look at Kid and Killer coming out of chapter 1050 and their mentality there, that's really exciting. Like, that's juicy character stuff, and it all comes full circle to basically them confronting Apu, and, like, he's the source of their whole feelings that, we're not working with anybody else for the rest of this, like, forever, right? We've completely turned our back on all of the pirates. We're done with this, right? We've been burned too hard. All of that is kind of just, like, hand-waved away, including the relationship they have with Apu. It just doesn't really, like, pretty soon they're just like, you know what, we're cool with working with pirates. We don't actually see any sort of, like, internal thought process change or anything like that. And that extends, like, I think the most damning thing is basically, like, they're literally fine with just Apu being around at this point. So, like, it didn't really matter to them at the end of the day. So, it's just odd because, like, for me, stuff like this, right, like, the way I look at it is, like, okay, so if we go to something like chapter 950, to me, this is, like, juicy stuff, right? I'm sick of the alliance. I don't trust anyone. Consider it a gift that I don't kill you right here. Let's go, Killer. Let's get our people back. We do things our own way. To me, this is juicy stuff. This is juicy character stuff. Kid's anger, everything that's happening here, right? Like, I really, really like it. I love the potential. At the end of the day, the transition that Kid had as a kid, and, like, it's still there. It's still present once he confronts Apu again. So, exciting stuff potentially for his character. The transition that Kid has, I personally felt that, like, the fact that it essentially happened off screen, like, we never actually got a moment that we really understood, like, Kid changing or, like, having a realization or anything. Like, at some point he was just like, you know what, I've seen enough of Luffy. Like, I'm good with taking Big Mom. I trust everybody now. Let's all fight together. Apu, you're okay, whatever, forget it. Like, the juicy part of his character transformation was kind of, like, skimmed over or, like, never really, like, we saw the before and after, basically, We saw the before, then we saw after where he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go take Big Mom. We skipped the juicy middle part where it's like, where did all of this go? Where did all of the, like, what was the moment, like, how did his mind change? What was it, What was it? It's kind of like, if you see, like, like Nico Robin, right? Like, what's the juiciest part of her character arc, right? What's the juiciest part of her character arc? It's the moment that this shit happens, right? So before this, Robin has a certain mentality, right? This is before. This is her beliefs before. Hard bought into this mentality that I can't be with other people. My name is the world. Everyone will abandon me, blah, 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 etc. Then we get this moment. We have a powerful moment where you get the character transition, like the transition in terms of the mentality of what they're thinking, why are they believing what they believe, etc., right? This moment is really important. This is a juicy character moment. Then we get the internal monologue. Live, I thought it was something I could wish for, blah, 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 blah. Like, you see the whole sequence of thoughts, the fallout from this moment that turns her from A up here to, to B, right? And now you could say, like, that's what makes Robin's storyline so powerful. You could say, well, it's not fair to compare Kid to Robin, because Robin's obviously very hard to top, but, like, this is just one example, right? I could go through a dozen different examples of, like, more and more minor characters throughout the story. Like, I can go through Wiper, I can go through Nami, I can go through pretty much most of the Straw Hats, like, you know what I'm saying? I can go through Law and Dressrosa, like, I could go through multiple characters in Dressrosa. This same sort of thing, that's just what character writing kind of is. Whereas with Kid, it's kind of like, it just, we skip the juicy part. We're at A here with Kid. Then we get B, which is, he's downstairs, he's like, I'm cool with fighting Big Mom with Law, and, like, Apu, you're good with me too, after the war and everything like that. We kind of skip the middle part. The middle part where the actual, like, what's he thinking on the roof? What changes for him on the, like, we can assume that he's inspired by Luffy or something like that, but, like, where does it really happen? Like, what's the character transition? I think that's the thing that I would say is the most wasted bit of Kid, because he's got some juicy stuff he's working with in Act 2. I was really excited for Kid right here, as of this chapter in Act 2. But yeah, that's my opinion. Caleb Brown says, what if the Cross Guild ally with the Blackbeard Pirates? I don't think so, because, characters like Buggy, Mihawk, even Crocodile, we've come to view them more as, the guys that are not going to be on, the pure evil side, basically. Even Crocodile, right? Crocodile, he was given a chance to work with Blackbeard, and he said, fuck off. Flame Emperor says, Ashura, enough said. Yeah, we don't need to talk about Ashura again. Angel Rise says, one of my favorite moments was 1029. It was a friendship trope done visually cool that was outside the main cast. 1029. Isn't that the Orochi introduction? Oh, no, never mind. Hold on, I gotta go here. 1029. 1029. What am I forgetting? What happened in 1029? Sanji's stuff? I like Sanji's stuff. Kid and Law? Oh, Killer. Yes. No, 100%. I'm on board. Love it. I'm on board. I thought that was one of the best ones. Hold on. What's the best scene to take out of this? I'm going to take this. I'll just take this part. You can say it's generic or something like that, but I love this whole sequence with... I thought Killer versus Hawkins, low-key... You know what? My bad. I sometimes say that I don't think Wano had as good fights across the board as it could have, but I forget stuff like this, This was great. I'm throwing this in personally. All right. Flame Emperor says he laughed is also great. You're right. It's just hard for me to view. I'll add he laughed, obviously. But I view it in a separate category from the Wano storyline. Because to me, it's like a flashback that happens to take place during the Wano storyline, but it, has no real relevance to the plot of Wano. We could have gotten that backstory in any arc, if that makes sense. That bit. It's just that Oden was kind of, the easiest way for Oda to slip in, a spectator of that shit happening. So I view it in a slightly separate category. But, I'll put it in a second. I'm also going to put Yasuo is dead. Someone reminded me a second ago. Sheriff Law says Nami Pirate King moment and Killer Hawkins. Yep, I got Killer Hawkins. Nami Pirate King moment, I'll throw in. That one kind of, especially on reread, that one I was kind of underwhelmed by it just because I didn't realize that Nami was going to get literally nothing else for the rest of the arc. And it feels cheaper now knowing that was kind of Oda's way of being a character moment for Nami, and it's weaker version of a really well done Usopp moment from way back. You know what it was a good character moment, I suppose, with nothing else for the character period, I guess, throughout the arc. So it feels cheaper to me, versus I'll throw it in though because I did like it initially. Artavin's Sivasalem says Sivasalem says best moment in Wano, raid ending in failure. Would have been. Gar of Durandar says, will you count Rogers? He laughed in the list. Yeah, I just discussed that. One of the best in the series. Love your content. Can't wait for the complete Wano arc analysis. Yeah. I'll throw that in. Sheriff Lafitte says, which was worse, Ice Oni or the Yamato bomb stuff? Dude, the Ice Oni stuff, when I reread that section, I was just this is wild. Because the reason being, it took several chapters for that shit to play out. Which was insane to me. Because there's so many more interesting characters, so many more interesting character storylines, or so many more stuff that could have happened instead of the Ice Oni stuff. Maybe something for Brook, maybe something more for Nami, something more build up around that scene that led to her at making that proclamation around Luffy, right? Maybe something more for maybe Frankie versus Sasaki could have been actually a fleshed out fight or something. There's so much it's actually wild because it feels when you're reading throughout All Fact 3. Especially the battle stuff, right? You can feel how Oda's, crunching stuff for time. But then you get this Ice Oni section randomly that Oda was just fuck it. This one can span 10 chapters. And it's just dude, this was the one thing you were happy to give, 10 chapters worth of space to. Everything else feels really, really scrunched, and you can feel him shaving off edges and stuff and being okay, this little bit can be off screen, etc. But not the Ice Onis. He was this moment for Chopper where he sets everybody on fire and is I solved it. Fire fixes ice. The moment that has almost no... I think it does almost nothing for Chopper as a character other than him just doing his normal doctor thing, you know, which we've seen him do that in Zoe, and like it's not, he doesn't really do anything new other than like it puts more of a spotlight on him doing it, I guess, but it doesn't really progress his character in any way. He does have the I'm not a Tanuki moment, so like that's the first time he really snaps, so that's kind of cool, but it's not really like, you know, you compare it to the Gedatsu fight, if you read that, or you compare it to the Kumadori fight, if you reread that, or you compare it to even like him versus Hogback. Like these are all moments that really progress him as a character. The Ice Oni thing was just bizarre because like it stretches for so long. He doesn't really progress as a character over the course of it. It's just like him being like, I gotta solve this. It's fire. Guys, it's fire. And then like, it's just, I don't know why Oda spent so much time on that one. It's kind of crazy. Morj, you forgot to answer the actual Queen versus Katakuri parts of Salajan. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. No, I got Katakuri still. I still got Katakuri just because I don't think that Queen has a really good power set for hurting Katakuri. You know, Katakuri's like a really shifty fucker. Like, he's hard to hit. He's hard to hit. It's easy to forget that, but he's really hard to hit. Aramaki Stan account says, Green Bull arriving on Wano and Zoro cutting Kaido. Green Bull arriving on Wano, I can no longer put that up there just because of the way it turned out. I'd put the Shanks shit, Zoro cutting Kaido. Also, Big Mom was the most useless character. I don't know why Oda introduced her just to make her a joke. I unfortunately can't put Zoro cutting... I don't think Zoro cutting Kaido is one of the best moments in Wano. I don't think it was even the best moment of that chapter, is the crazy thing, right? Like, I thought it was cool, for sure. I didn't think it was like the best moment of that chapter. I thought Luffy's Conqueror's Haki even topped that, personally. Like, it wasn't even made to be the highlight moment of that chapter, in my opinion. I think it was more so, like, the setup to Luffy using Conqueror's Haki. Ones that we're still got to get... Hold on, let me type up. We still got to get... He left. We got to get Yasue's death. We got to get Nami saying Luffy, Pirate King. I think I was missing one thing. Forgot what it was. Sanji and Zoro versus King and Queen. Robin defeating Black Maria. Ebisu's death. I'm going to put... Here are the ones I'm going to put. Sanji destroying Raid Suit. I'm going to say Robin versus Black Maria. Tsunachi versus Kaido. Momo claiming his title. Like, these are good. I'm not saying they're bad moments. I'm just saying, like, we're looking for the best moments in Wano. The best, like, things that you'd say are classics, in my opinion. I guess, obviously, most of the things that I would say are classics, I guess. Not that they're bad. I like Momo saying his name and everything like that, but I'm not going to be like, oh, that's, like, one of my favorite scenes in the story. Whereas other shit, like, I think Killer vs. Hawkins, great fight. Like, one of the best side character fights we've ever had in One Piece. Maybe Killer vs. Hawkins has an argument for maybe being the best side character fight in One Piece. Like, yeah, I think. Depends who you call a side character, not a side character. Z-Lit says, would you rather have had a character moment for Brook or Usopp in Wano and why? And to this day, I still would have rather the raid field. Me too, man. I would have rather the raid field as well. I would have rather had a moment for Usopp. Reason being, Brook is like, you know, he doesn't get much, obviously, but Usopp was bitching the entire arc. The entire arc about how he doesn't want to die, how he's really scared, how he's just trying to escape, how he's trying to protect... Like, Usopp really, like, made himself look really, really bad over the course of the arc. Like, so I think Usopp was more so, he kind of needed something more than Brook, whereas Brook was kind of just a non-factor. He may as well, if Brook didn't exist in Wano, nothing changes about the arc. Same thing for Usopp, but Usopp was like a net negative for himself, character-wise, whereas Brook, he was a net neutral, right? Still would have liked both of them to have had something, but I think Usopp needed something, whereas Brook, it was just kind of unfortunate he didn't get anything, in my opinion. The Black Man Who Laughs says, thoughts on Pluton is a machine that uses volcanic activity to create islands, and the Wano is made for fishermen to move into the flooded section. As far as we know, Pluton's a weapon that destroys islands. As far as we know. Hawkeye Dragon says, he's making me watch something. Skip to 334 and it'll show you where the supernova are going. It says law going to Ruche, which means beehive in French. Oh, okay, thank you. I will check that out after the stream, though. Thank you. Flame Emperor says, Senor Pink was done better than Yamato. For sure, but that's not even something fair to say, because I think Senor Pink was done better than, like, a lot of characters, you know? Like, Senor Pink was done better than... Like, man, like, Senor Pink's a highlight character in One Piece. He's one of the best characters in One Piece, to be honest, right? So I don't think it's fair to be like, you know, Senor Pink was better than Yamato, because I'd be like, yeah, but come on. Like, it's Senor Pink. That's a pretty high bar. Guma Buma says, Wano's def not near done, because the borders are still closed. I mean, stuff happening in Wano is not done, but like the arc's probably going to close, right? As far as we can tell, they're all about to set off to these other islands and shit. So Garfrick says 9:43 after Yasuo's death. Otoko applying Usopp's fake total oil to heal him. This hit quite hard on reread. I agree. And Zoro and Sanji jumping in. Yeah. I think that whole section was pretty good. I loved Yasuo's death quite a bit for what it was. I wish that they'd actually like use the dramatic juice from that to fuel a tone shift or something or something more for the characters going forward. But it's not really mentioned or brought up again. Is the thing. Aside from Toko herself, like in the epilogue section, or like post-climax section, you know what I mean? Ninerbot says one of the worst things about Wano is that Scabbers died off screen. Could have added so much more emotion if we saw them die. Yeah, I've talked about that at length in previous streams. You'll hear me talk about that again once the Wano video comes out. Ivan back from the card shop says, do you got an opinion on Oda confirming they wanted Wano over before film Red so that Shanks could show up? I'm sure that it doesn't change the length of Wano too much. Because it's like, you know, I'm sure it's like, maybe he made it 10 chapters shorter than he wanted it to be or something like that, maybe. Ivan back from the card shop says, Odin being born to boil. How is that? How have I not mentioned that yet? Guys, I don't know if I'm going to pull images for all of these, to be honest. Odin, I'll try and skim through and pull all of them. You guys can see how fast I pull images. Odin boiling. Great scene. One of my favorite scenes. I'll say this right now. Okay, so if I'm doing my rankings for my favorite stuff, the things that I consider classic moments to me, I think Gear 5th, I think that's a classic. I think Odin boiling, that's a classic. He laughed, I think that's a classic. Things that are close are things like Yasuo's death. I think Luffy in the prison mine. I think those are things that I consider close, but I think that these three are three of the greatest moments post-time skip. I mean, in One Piece in general, but I would say that, like, especially if I'm doing a post-time skip ranking, I'd be like, I think Gear 5th is something really stand out. I think He Laughed is something really stand out. I think the Odin boiling, just the panel of Odin boiling, I think it's really, really, just visually really, really memorable. Ippo Takamura says, Kinemon flexing his strategic muscles and purposely revealing wrong port is a top moment. It's a funny moment. I'm not throwing it on this list, though. Myron12 says, Chapter 1042, to me, is the highlight of Onigashima. I think, 1042, the Gear 5th fight scenes are really, really zany, fun battle scenes, but 1042, if you guys don't remember, that's the chapter that ends with Kaido hitting Luffy over the head, thanks to CP0's sneak attack. 1042, it's, I think, the coolest. Let's take a look. I think it's the coolest choreographed, straight up choreographed fight scene in One Piece. Second, maybe just to Luffy versus Katakuri, Snake Man. I think I'd still put it second to Luffy versus Snake Man. But look at this shit. It's so cool. All right, so you're getting the usual Black Mamba stuff or whatever. Blah 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 blah. I like the progression first of all. So Kaido's kind of getting overwhelmed by Gear 4th. Luffy's just gotten Gear 4th. Then Kaido steps it up a pace. This is funny. So then we see Kaido using Future Sight. That's pretty cool. It's a cool little twist. Kaido in dragon form using Future Sight. So actually in dragon form, he's actually weaving between Snake Man. That's really cool. Like, I just love the variety of abilities that's shown here. So Kaido's taking Luffy. He flies with Luffy all the way up, spiral style, all the way up, blasts him down through Onigashima. So from top to bottom. Really, really dope. Like, just the ideas here. Giant dragon flying way up into the sky, then shooting Luffy all the way down through Onigashima. Luffy coming out through the bottom, flying straight back up. So they're zooming around DBZ style. This is like closest to DBZ that One Piece has gotten, outside of anime shit. But they're flying around. Then Luffy's hitting back. He's countering Kaido's Boro Breath with Overcon Gun. Then Kaido's shape-shifting. So to counter Luffy's Overcon Gun, Kaido hits back. Then they're both going at it with just their final attacks, and then Kaido gets this great pan. I don't know. I love the way that the flow of action throughout this chapter, just flying basically all across Onigashima, top to bottom, left to right, different forms, different hockey abilities used. I thought that this was a great, great, great chapter. I'm not going to put it in best moments though necessarily because it's all part of the Luffy versus Kaido fight, We're looking more for moments, I guess. Terry Martin says, Rogers, he laughed. Yeah, we got it up there. Or Shanks's, he left. Here's what we got so far. So we still got Rogers, he laughed and everything. Nerve AMV Maker says, it's crazy that almost none of the best Wano moments so far have Zoro in them. Oda did him so dirty in this arc. Okay, here's my opinion of the best Zoro moment in Wano. The best Zoro, I want to see if you guys agree. Alright? I want to see if you guys agree. You'll be surprised what I think is the best Zoro moment in Wano. What I thought was the coolest, most exciting Zoro moment in Wano. Alright, you guys will be surprised. I wonder if some of you guys can guess it, but I think no. Alright, ready? You guys ready? That's it. One more. My bad. I genuinely think it is this. I think that this is the best Zoro moment in Wano. I think this is the coolest Zoro moment in Wano. It's just, it gets you so hyped for what Zoro might be doing. Look at the pacing of this scene. It's beautiful. I love this moment. You can feel the difference if you go back to Act 1 versus Act 3, the difference in pacing is monumental, right? Oda took more time with this moment than Zoro scarring Kaido. That's one of the reasons I don't love, personally, Zoro scarring Kaido. Like, it's cool in terms of conceptually what happened. It's definitely cool in terms of what happened, right? And obviously, like, you know, my personal biases, I assumed that there'd be something more for Zoro, partly because of the dialogue and stuff that comes out of it. You know, Kaido is still saying that there'll never be a samurai as good as Odin. You know, Zoro saying, I was hoping I could at least knock you off your feet. Kaido saying, oh, you did enough. Like, I just thought that Zoro would maybe do more. I was not saying Zoro was going to kill Kaido. I never said Zoro was going to kill Kaido. I put out videos talking about how Zoro's not going to kill Kaido, right? But I did think that Zoro's going to get a second shot at Kaido, just because Kaido never acknowledged Zoro as a samurai as good as Odin. And Zoro himself was, like, part of it is the fact that Zoro himself is disappointed with the attack. Okay, but those are the minor reasons. The bigger reasons, I think, is mostly that it's like everything's happening really fast, because the pacing is really, really fast the further you go in Wano, right? So it's like a lot of shit happens this chapter, right? There's a lot of just shit happening. So Zoro cutting Kaido is cool, but it's also kind of sudden. It's like, you know, I'm not saying that, like, it's bad or anything. Like, this is a really impressive moment for Zoro, right? Like, it's probably asking too much to say, oh, it should be more drawn out or something like that. But to me, it's like, all of a sudden, he's busting out Ashura out of nowhere. It's like, oh, shit, Ashura cuts Kaido. He's like, oh, that was the best I could do. I was hoping. He's a little disappointed in himself. Then some more shit's happening. And then the show is kind of stolen by Luffy getting all of this Conqueror's Haki stuff next. I think Luffy, like, that kind of becomes the focus of the chapter. Like, so to me, Zoro cutting Kaido is like one cool event in a chapter where a series of lots of shit is happening, right? Like, they're cutting up the homies and shit like that. Then, like, Kid's taking Big Mom somewhere else. Then Luffy's getting knocked around. Like, Kid and Killer are going off to fight Big Mom. Then Zoro cuts Kaido one page. Then Zoro's out. Then some shit's happening with Law. Then Luffy's back up. Then all of this crazy Conqueror's Haki stuff is happening. And then, Oda really takes his time with Luffy's Conqueror's Haki stuff. And I think it's kind of just, like, a general shift in focus over time, obviously more and more to just be more, like, Luffy gets so much more disproportionate focus than everybody else. It's like, this chapter, which is like, this is the biggest feat that Zoro gets for the entire arc. And it's like, not even the main focus of this chapter. Luffy gets so much more focus and time and, like, you know, nice, drawn out excitement, I suppose, over his Conqueror's Haki moment and everything like that, that I think it kind of overshadows anything. Like, you know what I mean? That's just my personal feeling on it. Compared to, I thought this chapter, like, it's just really exciting. Like, again, the pacing, this was back with, like, I don't know, pacing is just different. Like, Oda really took his time to set the scene. We got the sakura petals blowing and everything like that. Knife being placed. We're getting a nice long prelude, kind of narrating basically the setup of what Zoro's been up to and everything like that. Cool introduction, blah, 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 blah. We're getting some info on the ritual and what's supposed to happen and everything like that. I don't know, the scene just plays out very nice and slow. Like, you know, nice and slow. And then I love the way it suddenly snaps, right? So some shamisen playing, flowers blowing, everything's building up, and then the strumming reaches its peak, and then suddenly snap, and you get this really, really, really dope panel. Really dope panel. And it's just like, holy shit, all these samurai are shocked, how strong is the swordsman, etc. Really, really gets you hyped for Zoro over the course of the rest of the arc. Caleb Brown says, Zoro blocking the combined attack should be one. Yeah, I forgot. Zoro blocking the combined attack may be more impressive feat than even cutting Kaido. Depends how you look at it. Grizzly, I don't think it's like one of the best moments of Wano. It's definitely one of the best moments for Zoro. Grizzly Adams says, Kaido literally didn't even care that he'd been cut by Zoro. Yeah, that's the thing. Even though that was apparently only the second time in his entire life that it happened. Yeah, like, I think it was partly just like Zoro's own disappointment and then Kaido kind of like walking it off. Sham Love says, Frankie bike to Big Mom face plus Luffy Pirate King. I'm not putting the bike to face, but I think we got Nami's statement. Guma Boomba says, when you're at sea, you fight against pirates. That's a cool moment. I'm not going to put it up there, though. Said Ray says, Wano is awkward in ending the largest saga, yet also set up finale. No room to delay setting up the endgame factors, and this interfered with plot lines. I don't know. I think that there's a version where like both could have been done more easily or more seamlessly if like maybe just a little less was focused on in Wano itself, or maybe more time was taken. I'm not sure. Sheriff Lafitte says, Wano has given me a renewed appreciation for Dressrosa. We got a fleshed out villain with articulated motives and backstory, supporting cast, all get payoff, good Strahd moments, and good plot development. Yep. I mean, Dressrosa, like, there's a lot of... Dressrosa at the time I thought was really packed, and maybe Oda trying to cram too much into, like, one day and 100 chapters, but, like, in comparison to Wano, I think that, like, it's, I think Dressrosa's more impressive, in my opinion. Ivan back from the card shop says, Robin and Jinbei beating Big Mom parts falling twice, Zoro getting a magic sword, Frankie and Jinbei's fights, and Yamato's intro are all top tier. I like Yamato's intro a lot. I know you're joking here across the board, but I like Yamato's intro a lot. Zep said, it took me, like, you guys don't understand. My patience with Yamato was very, very, very high. I wanted to like this character so much. I really did. I was taken in by the design, same as you guys. I thought it was a cool concept. Kaido's son turning out to be this girl. She's inspired by Odin. Cool, like, she's got a fun, optimistic personality that doesn't grate on you at first. It's not grating at first. I was interested to see, like, what her storyline is going to be, only to then realize she doesn't have a story. She's just an inserted character that's just going to yell the same shit over and over again and not really develop in it. Like, she's just there. She's just there, and she's just, like, forced into all of these scenes and stuff like that. Enough Yamato talk, all right? Enough Yamato talk. We've done that before. Zep says, Sanji and Zoro, wings of the Pirate King. I thought that was a good line. I think, you know what it is? The further that we've gotten, the more picky I'm being about, like, what I'm saying lands in the best moments. Because there's a lot of good moments. There's definitely a lot of good moments for Wano. Like, you're mentioning a lot of good moments. I think I'm trying to be more and more picky now. Nanobot says, Luffy glaring while KO'd and the first Thunder Bagwell. Oh, the first Thunder Bagwell. That was actually one of my favorite moments by far. I would put that as, like, one of the classic scenes of... I'd put that up there, for sure. Kaido beating Luffy first time. That was my favorite Kaido victory over Luffy out of the ones that happened. It's funny you could do a full tier list of the Kaido victories over Luffy. Ippo Takamura says, Toko and Sukiyaki's moment at the Fire Festival. Yeah, I agree. I like that. I think a lot of my favorite little emotional moments happened actually after Kaido was defeated. Toko plus Sukiyaki moment. Henry Grant is very cool listening through a tin can. Yeah, sorry about that. I swear we'll be back to good audio, good camera, etc. next week. I swear. I didn't actually see the reactions to the seppuku. Okay, what do you guys think? Okay, best Zoro moment in Wano. I'm interested to see. So I'm going to put seppuku as an option. I'm going to put Zoro blocking attack as Kaido Big Mom attack. I think him blocking Kaido and Big Mom's attack is a cool moment, but not really, like, I don't know, like I preferred this scene just because of the whole way the scene played out, you know? Like I really like rereading this scene. This scene got me really excited. Just, you know, you can call it pacing, direction, however you want to say. I just really, really loved this scene. And it was so unexpected. So was him blocking Kaido and Big Mom's attack. Scar Kaido, Zoro's Ashra scarring Kaido, and then we got Zoro defeating King. You can include King of Hell, etc. into that. Just assume Zoro defeating King encompasses Zoro getting Conqueror's Haki, or mastering Conqueror's Haki, Zoro saying King of Hell, etc. Is Zoro taming Enma number 1? Zoro taming Enma number 1, I don't really put up. I loved I liked a lot of what Oda did with Zoro earning Enma over the course of the fight. I think I biased you guys with the seppuku argument because I don't know how many of you guys would have voted for seppuku initially. See, now it's evening out. Zoro, Ashra, Scar, Kaido. Yeah, that's what I would expect. Either that or Zoro defeating King. Again, I don't think Zoro's scarring Kaido was like bad. I'm not trying to say that. I don't think it was bad. I'm just saying like I personally prefer like I felt like there was more impact for certain other scenes, like even Zoro and King, like just because there's more time to focus on his moment, etc. Whereas Zoro cutting Kaido was kind of like a blur that happened in the context of many other things happening rapid fire, and then also being overshadowed, in my opinion, by what Luffy did next, and the focus that Oda had on Luffy. But Zoro scarring Kaido with Ashra, I think that's like definitely probably I guess in the context of like, I guess you could say that in the context of the world, that's the most impressive thing Zoro has done. Because like, if you told outside characters Zoro scarred Kaido, who up till now had only been scarred once, that's probably the most impressive thing that some like big news Morgans or someone could hear to hype up Zoro, right? Even above defeating King or something like that. You know what I mean? Sheriff Lafitte says Wano greater than Enma. I mean, yeah, it's got like personal attachment. The reason I don't put Zoro getting Enma on the coast too high is just because I thought it was just like, oh no, it's sucking my Haki. All right, I fixed it. So at the time, I was actually disappointed. I put like a whole video out being like, Enma not as cool, like the way he got Enma, not as good as like the way he's gotten other swords and stuff like that in the past. And then right after that, we had Zoro earning Enma over the course of his King fight. Like that was what I was really looking forward to. And so by the end of the King fight, I was like, okay, Enma's great. I'm completely sold on Enma. Yonko bounty reveals, Oh, wait, you're talking about like 957? Chapter 957? Yeah, that was actually a big one. If we're counting like lore reveals and stuff like that, I thought you were talking about the new Yonko bounty reveals. Like Luffy, well, Kid and Law aren't Yonko, but I thought you were talking about that. I was like, I didn't think that was that cool. Oh boy, Luffy's got 3 bill, the same as these other bozos. We can put Yonko bounty reveals. That was definitely one of the best moments of Wano. Plus Rock's lore. Rock's lore was hype. You guys remember reading this shit? You guys remember just reading like, okay, so there was a dude, like this was wild. This whole chapter was insane, right? So first we're finding out who Rox is, right? We're finding out who Rox is, the legendary crew. So Rox, we find out that it was a crew of Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido, led by this one dude, Rox D. Zebek, right? So that's insane. Captain wanted to be king of the world, so it was like king of the pirates before king of the pirates, right? So biggest threat ever. Like that's what it sounds like to us. Like to us, at this point in time, as we're reading this, we're like, holy shit. This is like insane. This is the greatest crew ever. Like Rox is a bigger deal than pretty much anyone we've ever heard of before. And then immediately after that, we find out who beat him, who fucking took this guy out. Our guy Roger, the OG, you know? King of the Pirates was King of the Pirates for a reason. It was Roger. Roger took him out. That's the hypest shit to hear. And you know who helped? You know who was his tag team buddy? Garp. We love Garp too. Both of these guys, like, it's so cool. It was so exciting just reading, like Oda set up the dopest threat you could possibly imagine in the One Piece world, which was like, imagine all the Yonko on one crew together under this mysterious final boss figure. And then he used that to hype up the guys that we were already being told were legends, to prove why they were such legends. Why is Garp the ultimate marine hero? Why is Roger, why was he considered the strongest, the greatest pirate for so long? Well, because they took down these guys. They took down these fuckers. That's going to put them, immediately make them, historically great, mythical figures, mythical heroes, both for pirates and marines. Great stuff. Great reveals. And then we get the bounties, just to top shit off. Then we get the bounties, and who's got the highest bounty of all time? Gold Roger. Love this chapter. Yeah, I'm not trying to downplay Garp. Not trying to downplay Garp. I'm just saying, we finally got some context. How do I say this? Garp we already knew was really, really hype. Garp we already had a context that Garp was considered so great because he would take on Roger regularly, right? We never really knew what Roger's, first of all, his claim to fame was. We knew he fought with Whitebeard and stuff in the past, but to find out that he was behind taking down rocks, that makes sense. It's okay, so he really earned his status as the number one pirate, right? He took down this crew. And Garp was the person who helped him. So it doubles down on our understanding that, Garp's really taken on all the best pirates in history, basically, and pretty much made a legend for himself that way. So, love this chapter. And Roger's bounty is conveniently 5.5 billion berry, just short of 5.6. Sets Luffy up to get 5.6. Great stuff. Ivan back from the card shop says, Wano's problem is that he wants to explore an island and huge overarching plot at the same time. It'd be like doing Skypiea and Marineford the same arc. I think there's a lot more that you can say. It'd be like Skypiea plus Marineford plus a cast of characters that's Dressrosa size but bigger. It's just many things. I think it can't be boiled down to a single thing that is the reason for it being, I guess I would say, overly ambitious. But I think you're along the right lines of some of the important factors for sure. What else we got? Kevin Culver says, Lurking Legend is Joy Boy, yes or no? No. Sheriff Lafitte says, Rock's crew is the 2016 Warriors, and Roger and Garp are LeBron and Kyrie. That's actually a great way of putting it. It's a great way of putting it. I really like that. Yeah, it's you're the unanimous. Rox is the unanimous MVP at this point in time. Roger comes in. He's me and Garp are going to drop 41. Take you guys out of it. Afnan Khan says, what are your thoughts on Dritz's video on Whole Cake Island and Sanji? I haven't seen it. I've told Dritz that I'm going to watch the videos, so I am at some point. He's told me I don't even have to watch all of certain videos because I can't watch his full 6-hour Downfall of One Piece video. But he's told me he's just watch these sections basically. So I'm going to watch them at some points. But I know I already, from some of the things people have said, I know I already fundamentally disagree with him. I've talked with him about Whole Cake Island at length. That was the first time we ever talked. We argued about Whole Cake Island a bunch. And then we just dropped it basically. I fundamentally disagree, and I fundamentally think he's wrong about certain things, his take on certain things about Sanji in that arc. But then there's other things about the arc in general that I agree with him on. But I like Whole Cake Island a lot as an arc, and to me, I still think I put Whole Cake Island as, in my opinion, the best arc post time skip. Hawkbox says, maybe bro, but Rox just being introduced out of nowhere was a bit cringe for me. We talked about him 50 chapters ago. 907. Let's go back. No, not 907. Wait, it is 907, right? Yeah. 50 chapters back, we learn about Rox. Even before that, you can go some more chapters back and learn about, there's characters that are, you've got Bakin talking about being on the same ship as Whitebeard. You've got Shaki talking about being on the same ship as, you hear about, he has to be introduced as a concept at some point, right? We're going to learn about him at some point, right? So to me, it's just a natural progression of learning about things, right? We knew so little about the seas during Roger and Whitebeard's day, right? We didn't really know what came before them or anything like that. But we're getting the hint. I think it's not something random that Oda pulled out of his ass. We've been learning about this shit, since Shaki talking about 40 years ago, Bakin talking, they're all referencing the same time frame and roughly, potentially the same crew and things like that. And then you find out, okay, Kaido and Big Mom, even they were on the same crew, right? You find that out in chapter 907, and you start hearing about Rocks, and then 50 chapters later, you find out what Rocks actually was. I mean, I think that's perfectly natural progression. It's like, yeah, at some point you're going to find out about a character. I don't think that reveal is necessarily cringe. It's like, yeah, we learned about Shiki, this villain that was this contemporary pirate of Roger and Whitebeard's that was the first guy to escape from Impel Down. Is that like a cringe reveal? You got to learn about this stuff somewhere, and I think that Rocks was nicely led to. Caleb Brown says, got to put Shanks making Green Bull chlorophyll his plants. Dude, okay, I'll put Shanks. I'll just put Shanks post Shanks shit at the end. Because I want to include Shanks' ominous quote about, finding the One Piece and stuff too. That was pretty cool. Wash Hamlet says, thoughts on the future of Conqueror's Haki? As Zoro is able to manifest his into aura, do you believe that Shanks could manifest his arm back, for example? So, we've seen some things with Conqueror's Haki recently that are pretty exciting, that open up, in my opinion, a good amount of potential of what it could be. So, I don't think people talk enough about the Ashura use of Conqueror's Haki, because that's something that we haven't seen before, right? It's just something we hadn't seen before, period. Someone basically manifesting, manifesting their spirit in that manner, in that it's literally seems like it's more blades being added and things like that. Then with what Shanks is doing in 55, right? It does seem like it's nothing new exactly. It's still just intimidating Conqueror's Haki shit. But I think part of it is I think we see more and more potential of what it could be, I suppose. Up till now, the lightning's just been in effect. Could Shanks actually use that lightning offensively, right? I think the same way that armament has various uses, observation has various uses. You can use it you can use it to hear voices, you can use it to see the future, etc. I think that Conqueror's Haki, we're just scratching the tip of the iceberg. I think that most likely the basic use, so if you go to 1010, this for the first time, what Luffy and Kaido and Big Mom and stuff use it for, I would imagine that this is kind of the first basic use, which is using it, as an invisible armor or whatever, an extension of, physically, an invisible armor that extends from your body, right? Gives you the power to split the sky, extreme power, etc. Blah 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 blah. I feel like that's most likely. This is level 1, most likely. This is the basic standard use, and we might be introduced to more niche uses of Conqueror's Haki as we go. Because the thing is, this is the really big thing, right? So as Kaido is about to lose to Luffy, he's still lecturing him because he's a dummy and doesn't know that Luffy has plot armor and that he's just gonna win with a big punch. So anything Kaido explains to him here doesn't matter. But Kaido seems fairly certain that there's a whole of course Luffy can't become Pirate King yet because Luffy's too far off from being able to use Haki to its best ability, right? So abilities alone cannot conquer the world. Roger didn't have any fruit powers because only Haki can transcend all. So it sounds as though there's something more, something big that Luffy has to take a step forward in Haki-wise still, right? And that'll likely be his last and biggest step in terms of progression. So whatever that last Haki step that he takes is, right? So we're still waiting on that. I think that it's very likely that that happens against Blackbeard just because Blackbeard's whole thing is that he cancels out Devil Fruit abilities, right? That's his whole thing. He cancels out Devil Fruit abilities. And Blackbeard's the final pirate villain that Luffy's likely set to fight. And Kaido's saying that, hey, if you want to become Pirate King, you have to have top tier Haki. You can't just rely on fruits. So all of that kind of meshes together really well to suggest that Luffy might, in my opinion, have to have a huge step forward in terms of Haki if he's going to be Blackbeard at the end of the day, because he won't be able to rely on the Gomu Gomu no Mi in that fight. So I think that also indicates that there's something much bigger to go in terms of Conqueror's Haki that he has yet to hit. And that's further evidence, I suppose, by the fact that Shanks seems to have a whole different level of Conqueror's Haki that Luffy has yet to hit. So interesting potential stuff there. See how it goes. Mass TV 94 says Momonosuke the Peerless great is one of the those moments. I think, okay, Adult Momonosuke's introduction, I'm going to throw that in. Adult Momonosuke introduction. All right, I'm going to throw that in. I thought that was really dope. And I was completely ready to not like anything post-Kaido defeat, but I like that Sheriff Laffitte says, what do you think about the Blackbeard Pirates being the one to do a Davy back fight? Beehive is the island where it originated, and Blackbeard is a bit like Foxy. Yeah, that'd be cool. It's hard to imagine them doing like a friendly Davy back fight, but it would be really, really cool to see. Definitely would be really cool to see. I hope it happens. I just want to see a Davy back fight come back into play in the story. So if it's Luffy versus Shanks, that was my assumption. If it's them versus Crossguild, that'd be cool. If it's them versus Crossguild versus Blackbeard versus Shanks, that'd be cool. Alright guys, let's run through the list. I am going to call the stream soon, just because I know it's a shorter stream. I promise next week will be a longer stream. Same amount of time as usual, like 2 hours plus. It's just because I'm with my family. I'm supposed to go up and eat dinner in a bit. I'm not at my usual, I'm not at home. So I've got other obligations, I suppose, at the moment. And on top of that, next week we're going to have a special guest. So watch out for that special guest. So let's talk about this. Looking at our full list, right? Looking at our full list, we've got the best moments of Wano listed as Luffy Udon Prisoner Mine, inspirational scene. I love that. That's my favorite character moment for Luffy. Red Rock, I understand why it's hype for some people. Not the most hype moment for me, but I get why it's hype for some people. Fortnite Pro 123 says top 5 hottest male characters. I mean, factually speaking, it would be Akainu, Ace, Sabo, Oven, and there was a filler character named Don Achino. I'm not going to bother pulling him up, but you can look him up. He also had the heat fruit. I think that's like objectively, factually just true, what I just said. Gear Fifth. Yeah, Gear Fifth speaks for itself. Probably in my opinion, the coolest post-time skip One Piece moment, period. Unforgettable. Game-changing, I guess you could say manga medium-changing in a sense. Maybe that's going a bit too far. I don't know, but it's when do you see that in a Shonen Jump fight? You can complain whatever you want to say about like how Gear 5 was introduced, how Luffy unlocked it, etc., but what it is, I think it's pretty unique. Sheriff Laffitte says, what happened here? Sheriff Laffitte says, what would you do if Oda reveals that Kaido put all his points in Haki Stat and had none left over for Awakening? That'd be hilarious. I just don't think it works like that. Kaido also seemed to know specifically he seemed to have good understanding of Awakening, so I just don't think that, it would make sense that he has Haki and not Awakening. And I mean, the fucking Impel Down prison guards at Awakening. Awakening isn't that rare. It doesn't make sense to me. Tony Hawk, PWPT says, I was completely on board with Chopper versus Queen since to follow the theme of Chopper versus the Doctor of the enemy crew. Sad that didn't happen, in my opinion. I mean, we got that in the sense that, it was Chopper versus Queen's Ice Oni virus, right? We got that. Chopper's physically not going to be able to fight Queen. Queen's a fucking Yonko commander, right? This is a character that, in theory, is, Doflamingo-ish, Right? Some might say stronger, some might say weaker, whatever, but, in theory, that's where he's at. Chopper shouldn't be able to fight him. So we got that Doctor versus Doctor, in terms of Chopper trying to cure Queen's science, we got that matchup. Was it boring? In my opinion, yes. Does it pale in comparison to, Chopper's actual character shit that he got against, Hogback, or even against Caesar and Punk Hazard and stuff like that? Those were more character-oriented trials for him as a Doctor. I would say yes, but we still got Chopper as a Doctor having to do shit against Queen as a Doctor. Not a Doctor, scientist, whatever. Killer versus Hawkins. Maybe the best side character fight in One Piece, I think. Really, really cool. I love this one a lot. Killer had much better character moments than Kid, in my opinion. Killer also did more damage to Kaido than his captain, which is funny. He laughed, speaks for itself. I put it in a slightly separate category than the other Wano moments, just because it's not really a Wano moment. It just happens to be technically in the time span of the Wano arc, but it's like a flashback that could have been placed at any point in the entire narrative of One Piece, but I get it. It's part of the Wano story, technically. It's just not relevant, really, to the Wano story, I guess. Odin Boiling speaks for itself. Love that panel, love that moment. One of the most epic character deaths that you will see, period. Yasuo's death, I thought it was emotionally stirring for what it was. No, it's not going to make me cry or anything like that, but it's kind of I compare it to kind of Senor Pink, where it's this is a random side character that made me more sad and made me more empathetic than I would have expected, Not a super tragic moment, I guess, over the course of the entire story, but I think it was good for what it was. Kaido beating Luffy for the first time. My favorite probably my favorite Kaido moment in the entire in the entirety of him being around. I think Kaido one-shotting Luffy, when did we ever see that before? Really, really, really cool. If only the fallout had actually been, something having an effect on Luffy or shifting the tone or something like that. But it was quickly forgotten and ignored, and basically just a setup for Luffy to be in Udon Prison Mine for the rest of the arc. Nami saying Luffy Pirate King. Sure. It was good for what it was, I suppose, but again, it's just the fact we have the Usopp moment in comparison, which is just so much better, and the fact that, it's kind of just paying lip service to Nami as a character because she does nothing for the rest of the arc, so it's kind of just a character moment for the sake of it, but without any actual real storytelling surrounding it, if that makes sense, for her for the rest of the arc. It's just her saying something supportive of Luffy with nothing else really, to back it up over the course of the story, because she's basically treated as irrelevant for the Wano arc. Adult Momonosuke introduction, I thought that was really dramatic, really, really well done. The whole chapter led up to that. Fantastically directed chapter, probably one of the best scene direction, in terms of scene direction, is probably one of the best chapters in all of One Piece, fitting for the dramatic conclusion of the storyline. Toko plus Sukiyaki moment made me sad, legitimately sad, like that a lot. Nice follow-up to Yasue. Yasue's shit was great. I wish we'd gotten a little bit more time with him as a character actually early on, so that his death would have hit harder. Maybe seeing a bit of him and Toko's relationship before finding out that she's his daughter as he died. Ninebot says, those Raycon earbuds you were shilling are trash. No, they're actually legitimately really good. They're actually good. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't use them on the computer. I use them exclusively for my phone because it's Bluetooth. But I like Raycons a lot. No lie, one of the first days I was using Raycons, I was taking them out, right? I had them in my pocket, right? I'm going to the bathroom in a restaurant. One of them falls out of my pocket onto the bathroom floor. So I'm like, fuck. This is disgusting now. It's what am I supposed to do with this? But then I remembered that, this is no joke. I remembered that they're waterproof. So then I was like, wait, I could just wash these off. So then I just put soap and water on them and I washed them off in the public bathroom. And I was like, wait, this is perfectly fine. I can just go back about my day or whatever. I think Raycons are great. I got nothing else to say about that. But, no joke. I've used them for, some of the perks that they actually have, such as being washable. Sanji destroying Reitsu, we didn't really talk about that, but I put out a full analysis video on that. I don't want to go over that again. I thought that's one of maybe Sanji's best moments in the entire series, argument for being his best moment. I don't think Sanji versus Queen as a fight, in retrospect, is that great of a fight overall, but the moment, the character stuff that we got for Sanji there is really, really good. Evil, what's up? Haven't seen you in a bit. We're almost done. This is a list of what we thought were the best Wano moments, but there's a mix in terms of what they wanted and I wanted. Yonko bounty reveals, Rock's lore, just hype shit, cool lore reveals, stuff like that. Robin versus Black Maria, in my opinion, the best Straw Hat fight in Wano. Luffy versus Kaido is its own category, In my opinion, Robin versus Black Maria was the best Straw Hat fight in Wano. And then Shanks, just cool Shanks shit in the end. Back-to-back chapters, him being a badass. What more could he ask for? Enough that it actually makes me want to see him fight in Film Red, which I think is a tremendous amount of praise for me to Shanks' portrayal here. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. We got some nice Wano positivity slipped in. Let it never be said that I'm exclusively negative about Wano. I legitimately think that, Gear 5th, he laughed, Odin boiling. Also my favorite moments in One Piece post-time skip for sure. Gear 5th, Odin boiling, some of my favorite moments in One Piece, period. Sanji destroying Raid Suit, I think one of the top moments for Sanji throughout the series. There's a lot of moments that I really like. It's just buried under a lot of stuff that I don't like at all. So it's a mix, but, let it not be said. I think that there's a lot that is enjoyable for Wano, for sure. But that being said, watch out for the coming videos where I discuss what I did not think was as enjoyable, while still giving credit to the things that I thought were good, because there's some good things, I think, thematically that I didn't fully give credit to the first time, but at the same time, post-reread, it's a mix of me being oh, this is interesting, I didn't pick up on this or focus on this as much in the initial read, but then at the same time, I'm coming away with more things that I'm, not liking as well, or thinking that, wait, this was actually not good at all. You know what I mean? So it's a mix. It's pulling away more good, but at the same time pulling away more bad, and probably solidly more in that direction, I suppose. So it's a mix. All right. Caleb Brown says, I appreciate all the great content, and I'll try to be less weird, more GP. Ahem, I mean Mr. Morj. Oh, nice, Caleb Brown. All right, you might be in the running for mod. Also, I really loved Momo's speech after the fight. What a nice, normal thing to say by Caleb Brown. And yep, we got that adult Momonosuke introduction. I thought that was a really good moment for his character as well. It turned a lot of people into Momo fans, even though I think most people fucking hated Momo